Tonight on our news, the heartbreaking story of a 4-year-old caught in the crossfire, the tragic story of his shooting, and prayers for his family coming up. And the international criminal record of the man believed to be the captain of the ill-fated boat on Sunday. We've got the latest on the investigation. Plus, how the state-run hospital is getting back on track following a major bed shortage. The hospital chief speaks. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. 2 days after officials said search and recovery mode is underway following that tragic boating incident, a top RBDF official is now saying the search and rescue is still ongoing. We're also learning that the man police believe captained the ill-fated boat has an international criminal record. We've got the latest on the investigation coming up in a moment. But first, more sad news to report tonight. A 4-year-old is the country's latest shooting victim. The young child caught in the crossfire of yet another shooting the day before he was scheduled to celebrate a cousin's birthday. Our Jean Joseph has the details of the country's latest murder and a family in distress.
He did not deserve this at all. Innocent child.
A late-night shooting leaves 4-year-old Kenton Seymour dead, an unintended casualty, and a police manhunt for the assailants. The intended target is now in custody as police try to piece the tragedy together. Kenton's family members affectionately call him Pappy. He was with his father going for food when they found themselves in the line of fire on Fleming Street, one of those bullets shattering the car's glass and hitting the toddler. He later died in hospital. Hours later, at the DeVos Street home, family members tried to console each other, while his parents had a difficult task of identifying the body at the morgue. Kenton's aunt, Chrisnell Thompson, now fears the effect the murder could have on her young daughter.
He's a kind, sweet, loving person. A little kid that only want to have fun. See my little baby down here? You can put it down here. That's her leg. And she love him. Every morning she get up, where my papi? I don't know how it can be now.
Police have heightened their presence in the area as they investigate. Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernandez assuring the public of their ongoing commitment.
We want to continue to partner with the members of the public to work hand in hand to flush out individuals who continue to wreak havoc within our community.
Yet, this family is left to grieve with questions, especially when it comes to releasing repeat offenders.
I want justice for my nephew. That's all I want. These people out here, they letting them out, but these angry boys let on. They killing children, killing innocent people, and they letting them out on bail and things with angry boys to do the same thing.
Police continue to appeal to the public for information. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jean Joseph.
Thanks, Jean. Well, the nation's leader says his heart goes out to the family of the 4-year-old boy tragically killed last night. The Prime Minister tells reporters he will be fully briefed by police on the matter. Italia Hall has this.
The heinousness of the acts that's being committed on our streets just has to stop.
Those words by Prime Minister Philip Davis as he gave his condolences to the family of the 4-year-old boy who was tragically shot and killed on Fleming Street Tuesday night.
Those who know something, say something so that we can be able to avert what's happening today.
He says each administration has tried to resolve crime by introducing stiffer penalties.
But has it worked? Things are getting worse. So is stiff penalties the answer? It may be an element of the response, but it's not the answer.
He says the country must get to the root of the problem,
which starts, let's say, from the home, from the environment that we're in, from our own interaction with one another, with our own taking responsibility of who we are and what we want to be.
Deputy Leader of the Free National Movement, Shannon Cartwright, also weighing in on the tragic incident. In a statement, Cartwright says the incident should cause an uproar in every Bahamian soul, adding that this was not the first child killed by gun violence. The deputy leader expressing that the country cannot appear to accept the death of innocent children by lawless individuals who think it is their right to engage in armed combat. Reporting for Our News, I'm Italia Hall.
Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernander also giving an update on a police-involved shooting on Sunday. Shortly after 1 a.m., officers attempted to stop a dark-colored Chevy Cruze occupied by 4 men. However, the vehicle did not stop.
You had individuals who was in the rear seat of this vehicle firing at the police. Actually, door open and firing at the police. Officers were able to return fire. The vehicle later crashed somewhere in the area of NIB. One person, the driver, exit. He was able to flee from the police, but the other 3 individuals, they were shot. Entry-exit wounds to the body, and they were arrested there. A weapon was found with an extended clip.
Fernander says the 3 men were taken to hospital, treated, and discharged. However, he says their act showed a blatant disrespect and disregard for officers that cannot be tolerated in the community. According to Fernander, the force will take the fight to the criminals and disrupt their activities.
Something is wrong. What do you think should happen? I was kind of disappointed with my officers because their life was at stake. Their life was at stake. And anyone who may have been in that area during that time. You could look at the same incident with the young child. They were just driving, going to the store, and individuals run across the vehicle. What do you think should happen to these individuals when they engage the police?
2 men are behind bars after being charged with 3 rapes in the Caravel Beach area on Grand Bahama. Police say the incidents happened between April and May of this year. One of the men was also charged with unlawful sexual intercourse with a 9-year-old girl. Assistant Commissioner of Police Theophilus Cunningham revealing as much today in a press briefing, saying the men who were charged on July 3rd are on remand at the Bahamas Department of Corrections. The 2 are expected back in court in September. While assuring the public that crime is at a manageable level on the island, the Assistant Commissioner saying tonight they continue to be concerned about the level of crimes against women and vulnerable members of the society. He gives these safety tips.
Ensure that the exterior of your home is well lit at night. Before going to bed, ensure that blinds and drapes are properly closed so that anyone on the outside won't be able to see on the inside of your residence. When walking or jogging, do this in groups. Stay on well-lit paths and stay together. If you go walking alone, use your headphone and don't use your headphone so that you are aware of your surroundings. Finally,
in news from the courts, a tourist who groped a stranger after taking a $100 bet was today remanded to prison pending sentencing. Stacey Johnson, a 52-year-old mailman from Huntsville, Arkansas, pleaded guilty to indecent assault at his arraignment before Magistrate Shaka Serville. The 40-year-old woman from Dallas, Texas, told police that she was at a bar at the Ryu Hotel when Johnson grabbed her backside from behind and put his hands between her legs without her consent. When the woman turned around to confront her assailant, Johnson told her, quote, "He bet me $100 to do that." Johnson told the magistrate the woman insisted on pressing charges, although he repeatedly apologized to his victim. He told the court he didn't expect her to take it so seriously. Johnson, who is on holiday with his girlfriend and his sister, told Serville that he's scheduled to return to Arkansas on Thursday. Serville told Johnson his actions were grossly indecent and he has lived long enough to know his behavior was inappropriate. The magistrate told Johnson a, quote, "custodial sentence must come within my consideration. The offense carries a maximum of 3 years in prison." Before deciding which consequences Johnson will face for his actions, Serville said he wanted to hear from Johnson's relatives and the victim on Thursday, July 28th. Serville is expected to give his sentencing decision on July 29th. And mostly clear skies with a bit of haze shaping current weather conditions. It's now time for our first look at temperatures. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with our first look. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks, Christina, and welcome everybody for our first look at weather on this beautiful Wednesday evening. Very comfortable outside. Temperatures Slightly on the warm side, 88 degrees, but mostly clear skies, and we do have some haze out there. East-southeasterly winds are falling a little bit right now. They're 10 miles per hour, and your feels like temperature. Still a slight warming trend out there. Feels like 92 degrees on the outside. Satellite view, nothing really to talk about. That disturbance that was generating some showers and thunderstorms across the northwest and central Bahamas, well into the Gulf of Mexico now, to the west of the Florida Peninsula, and that high pressure out of the Atlantic as well as the Saharan dust is building in across us. That's making for cloud-free skies. A little breezy across the central and southeast Bahamas, but all in all, should be a beautiful night and an even better tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, search and recovery efforts turn to search and rescue once again. The latest on the investigation into Sunday's boat tragedy. Plus, the major bed shortage at Princess Margaret Hospital improves significantly. And later, Bahamian NBA star Buddy Hield brings his basketball camp back to the islands. The story when our news returns. Two days after officials said law enforcement is now in search and recovery mode following that tragic boating incident, a top RBDF official is now saying search and rescue is still ongoing. Bethany McDermott picks up the story from here.
3 days after that smuggling attempt turned deadly, officials are still in the search and rescue stage at least for another day. Royal Bahamas Defense Force Deputy Commander Shondell Pinder confirming that fact.
We will continue in this mode, the search and rescue phase, for at least another day. The idea would be to ensure that if there is the least chance of detection of someone who may be alive, as unlikely that may be as time progresses, we want to ensure that we're in the best position to detect them and, of course, render assistance.
However, he's singing a different tune from Search and Rescue Coordinator Commander William Stirrup, who on Monday said officials are now in search and recovery mode. He says they were on the lookout for 3 individuals, as officials believe 45 people were on the capsized vessel in total.
Based on the feedback I received on the updates given just around noon, they continue to search, however, nothing in terms of any findings as yet.
And as for the remains that were turned over to the Public Hospitals Authority following the incident, the managing director providing this update.
We were able to do the processing along with our partners, the Royal Bahamas Police Force, in terms of, getting DNA and other things like that and looking for identification. So that was completed. However, that's been handed totally over to the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
17 bodies were handed over to PHA following the incident. The morgue has long been plagued with overcrowding issues.
Fortunately, we had a reserved, what we call our external coolers, that we were going to use for COVID. So they have been placed in there securely to ensure the chain of custody and ensure that they're not moving out. So at this point, we don't have any issues with space at all.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
New information surfacing tonight about the man police believe captained the boat that capsized on Sunday, killing 17 people in an alleged human smuggling attempt to the United States. The police commissioner revealing earlier today the man has an international criminal record. Megan Shepard has the latest on what may now become an international investigation.
One of the 3 Bahamian men in police custody following that ill-fated vessel is believed to be the boat owner, and another, the boat's captain, who police revealing today has an international criminal record. As police believe the intended destination was the United States, Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernandez says the police force is working with U.S. authorities to extend their investigations internationally.
He was charged for human smuggling in the U.S. and was convicted and spent 2 years. Also, he was convicted in Cuba and spent 8 years for drug trafficking. We have also recovered a large sums of money during the search of that individual who was arrested on Sunday morning.
The top cop says the investigations are advancing.
Some of them would have came in from various family islands, and we have identified at least 3 of them who came by plane from Haiti about 2 weeks ago.
Fernandez says 2 of the deceased had identification on them on Sunday. However, to date, the commissioner says no other individuals have been officially identified. As it relates to potential charges,
we are looking at homicide, manslaughter, operating an unregistered vessel, operating a vessel without the prescribed number of life vests, and operating as an unregistered captain.
the remaining 20 survivors remain in the detention center. Commissioner Fernandez is appealing to the general public, particularly those in the Haitian community, to come forward to assist and is delaying fares of repatriation. Reporting for Our News, I'm Megan Shepard.
And while the search continues for the bodies of additional victims, Prime Minister Philip Davis condemned the act as a serious crime.
It is the strong taking advantage of the weak and desperate, people who are looking for a better way of life, which even evolves into another sort of dastardly crime of what I call trafficking.
When Our News comes back from the break, the Public Hospitals Authority says a bed shortage at the main healthcare facility is now under control. Plus, Buddy Hield brings his highly anticipated basketball camp back to the islands. And later, we'll tell you the donation that's expected to make hospitals visits and stays a whole lot more comfortable. We have the details when Our News returns. This is Our News. Welcome back. Weeks after officials announced the Princess Margaret Hospital is bursting at the seams, officials now say the hospital is in a good space. According to Public Hospitals Authority Managing Director Aubinet Roll, the hospital has made considerable progress.
As we try to transition COVID patients, and when I speak of COVID, I just really want persons to understand, at this stage now, most of our COVID cases are those persons who are coming in for admission, and as a part of the screening, they're now being found to be positive for COVID. So they're really asymptomatic. So we've been able now to move to some wards that we renovated, and then also the ability to flex some of our employees. So right now, we're really in a good space.
At the time, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville announced more than 30 patients were being held at Doctors Hospital West. Today, Roll says that number has since dropped to 2.
One of the things we want to do is to also have that always available in the event that we have to do it, because sometimes you get what we call batches or episodic stages of having to use external partners, but very minimally at this time.
In sports news, the basketball summer camp put on by Bahamian NBA star Shavano Buddy Hield is back on. Hield has been hosting summer camps for kids in New Providence and Grand Bahama since 2015. But for the past 2 years, the camp was canceled as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. But this summer, the Grand Bahama native is back, launching his camp at the Jack Hayward High School this morning.
It's always been good to be back home on our home soil, just giving back to the kids. Camp time, fun time. Kids look forward to it. I look forward to it. It's a time to come back and give back to the kids, and it's a community thing. It's fun. The guys got a community, a lot of people that you haven't seen in a long time, and just catch back up on old friends. And being in the old facilities I've been in a long time. I grew up in Jack Hayward, went to Jack Hayward, so it's always a good spirit being back in this place.
Hield says he is ecstatic to return after the pandemic, and giving back to children in the Bahamas remains a priority. He says he plans to expand his camp to the entire Bahamas.
This is where my heart is at, like I said earlier. So every year we look forward to going to camp, because we know how important it is to the kids. I know how important it is to myself, the island Grand Bahama, and just that it brings joy to kids' lives.
Well, don't go away, especially if you have allergies. Saharan dust affecting weather conditions across the islands. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is back in the Weather Center with a look at conditions. And later, your next public hospital visit may be a lot more comfortable thanks to a high-tech donation by a local church. The story when our news returns. Welcome back to our news. A dry air mass invading the Bahamas now thanks to some Saharan dust. If you've got allergies, then you may want to be on alert. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is back in the Weather Center with a look at conditions in our extended weather forecast.
Thanks again, Christine. Welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. Dry air mass now invading the Bahamas, courtesy of some Saharan dust and a high-pressure ridge that's building towards the west and across the area. There's an upper-level low that's spinning just in the north of Puerto Rico and Hispaniola. Not going to do much in terms of any significant weather, as a lot of dry air mass is going to be invading our area. So it's not going to have much moisture to do anything. Maybe a spotty shower, isolated thunderstorm possible across the southeast Bahamas. But all in all, quiet across the area. That disturbance that was across us yesterday and the day before is now into the Gulf of Mexico, generating some showers there. Will continue to move towards the west. The tropics quiet. We do have that Saharan dust suppressing much in terms of any development with these systems, and we do not expect any tropical cyclone development over the next 5 days. Boating forecast for all areas tonight to tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the east at 15 to 20 knots. They will be gusting at times, seas running 4 to 7 feet over the ocean. Your high tide will be at 8:10 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your 7-day forecast, beautiful conditions, maybe an isolated shower tomorrow, but all in all, it should be very quiet, very sunny, and those hot temperatures will be with us. Of course, that Saharan dust will be a problem, so if you have any ailments or that dust bothers you, make sure you take the necessary precautions. That is a look at our weather. Make it a safe night, everybody.
And finally, in news tonight, a hospital stay may be a bitter pill to swallow, but a local church is working to make hospitalization a little more comfortable for patients at Princess Margaret Hospital. Bahamas Harvest Church donating a number of smart TVs to the public hospital. Pastor Mario Moxie making the presentation, explaining the gifts are their way of giving back to PMH.
We know that this is a request that you've made, and based on the request, we know that these televisions will be used to aid in the patient's recovery, and we're elated to do that. We're always glad to help whenever we can, and so this is just one way for us to express our love for the work that you do and to partner with you in a very small way to make your lives a little easier.
Deputy Principal Nursing Officer Ella Anderson and Nursing Officer Joanne Oliver thanking Bahamas Harvest on behalf of the staff at PMH, saying the gesture will help patient recovery.
These televisions will be put to good use. It definitely will help in the therapeutic care of our patients who sometimes need a little distraction to help them to recover. And this is also an evidence of you spreading the joy of the Lord to our patients.
It can be used for entertainment, it's relaxation and all that, diversion therapy as well. And again, thanks, and we're grateful that that unit has been picked, especially for your kind generosity.
Well, for more stories like this and other breaking news, visit Our News Bahamas on Facebook. Thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.